All right, gang. Look at the latest polling. Let's start in the primaries. Trump is now up 41 in Florida. I'll say that again. He's up 41 in Ron DeSantis's Florida. Gang, that was not supposed to happen. the establishment snakes that bewitched Ron DeSantis into running, that convinced him, this is your time. The establishment that was going to take down Trump, they were, it's inevitable. Nobody gets indicted and then sees their poll numbers go up, right? Nobody. It's impossible. So we're going to make sure, we, the Republican establishment, we're going to make sure Trump gets slapped with indictment after indictment after indictment after. Remember, this is only happening because the Republican establishment is allowing it, right? Or actively behind it. We're going to slap him with indictment and he's going to get slapped with so many indictments. He's going to be slapped. Silly. This is your opportunity, Ron. Now's your moment. Those snakes, those vile Karl Rove Fox News snakes, never in their darkest nightmares imagined that 4 indictments later, Trump would be leading DeSantis by over 40 points in DeSantis's own freaking state of Florida. They told DeSantis, they told him he'd be leading Trump by double digits in Florida by this time in the primaries, right? Voters had it with Trump. Don't you remember that? Trump fatigue. That's all we heard about from the legacy media about last spring. Trump fatigue. Trump fatigue. DeSantis is surging, they said, because of Trump fatigue. Voters have had it with him, sucking the oxygen out from everywhere he goes. They're done with him. DeSantis is the new standard bearer of MAGA that we, the legacy media, approve of because he doesn't send out mean tweets and he doesn't say mean things to us. And here we are, 4 indictments later, and Trump is viscerally crushing DeSantis by over 40 points in his own state. Trump is going to make every one of these single-digit midget primary candidates. They're going to make Liz Cheney look victorious in Wyoming's primary by comparison when she lost by 70 points. I mean, it's just astonishing. But first, how many UFC fans do we have out there? We know that the one and only Donald Trump is a huge UFC fan, as are the fighters of him. But have you ever wondered what they do to manage their pain? Well, you don't have to, because a fellow patriot and good friend to this channel is precisely the one who provides relief to that pain, and he's here to do the same for you. You know, gang, as we age, aches and pains we think of are normal, but they don't have to be. And that's where the groundbreaking medical scientist Clint Winters comes in. You've seen Clint on Fox. You've seen him on this channel. He's a world-renowned health expert who's unveiled a natural pain reliever that's taking the world by storm. It's called CB2. It's the 100% drug-free way to get full-body pain relief without dangerous meds, and it's the official pain reliever for the fighters in the UFC. And the best news, CB2 has no documented side effects after years of private testing. It's absolutely the future of relief. So whatever you do, make sure to click on that link below and check out Clint's amazingly informative report on how CB2 is changing lives by providing safe and powerful relief at a fraction of the cost of pain pills. Click on that link below right now. In the general election, in the matchup with Biden, the crushing in many respects, all things considered, gets even worse. Look at the latest GQR poll. Okay, look at this. Look. For those of you by way of our podcast, almost 20 million downloaded podcasts on that. I will add there. Thank you very much for that. Look at this. Trump is beating Biden by nearly 10 points, 51 to 42. Look at, I mean, it stays the same when you add in RFK, a Hogan, a Manchin, others, it's still +9. I mean, it's astonishing. This is the, I believe, third or fourth poll in a row in the last month that shows Trump with a 10-point or near 10-point lead over Biden. I mean, gang, I deal with polls every single day. I talk a lot with Rich Barris, People's Pundit, my absolute favorite pollster in terms of analysis and the like. Gang, you've got to understand how astonishing that lead is. Well, here, let me getting ahead of myself. Let me go through some of the other polls that have just come out, and then we'll analyze the astonishment of them. All right, let's take a look at the latest YouGov poll. It just dropped today, just this morning. They now have Trump leading Biden for the first time in 9 months, according to their polling methodology. And that comes on the heels of the latest Quinnipiac poll that just dropped yesterday. Quinnipiac has Trump beating Biden 48-46. And what you have to get there is that Trump has never led a Quinnipiac poll ever. Again, this is according to their own polling methodology. So we're corroborating different polls with each other here, with one another. For whatever reason, given their methodology, Trump has never led a Quinnipiac poll, ever. Quinnipiac had Biden +11 the day before the 2020 election. Quinnipiac had Clinton +6 for the 2016 election. Now, as of today, with that very same methodology, that's the very same sampling, same weighting system, you name it, Quinnipiac now has Trump up over Biden, leading him for the first time ever. The latest Fox News poll, which just dropped yesterday. Fox, remember, is notoriously liberal in their polling. Fox had Biden +8 in November. Can we switch it to the Fox poll? Fox had Biden +8 in November 2020. Take a look at this. Trump's beating Biden by 4 in a notoriously liberal poll, 50-46. And again, you'll notice that Trump is winning the majority vote there. It's not the electoral vote, not only just the electoral vote. Now it's a 4-point lead for Trump in the general election. He's winning the majority vote. This is in a poll that had Biden winning by 8 points in 2020. Then when you go to the swing states, it gets even worse. Trump is now leading Biden by nearly 10 in a state that he supposedly lost to Biden by 1, Arizona. In the latest Noble predictive poll, Trump is crushing Biden by 8 points in a state without which Biden simply cannot win this election. Trump is crushing him by 8 points. And I'm going to show you why it's going to even get higher in due course. Stay with me. In Florida, Trump is crushing Biden by double digits, 10 points. In Ohio, Trump is crushing Biden by 12 points. Now, remember, historically, the candidate who wins both Florida and Ohio wins the general election. That's the pattern in every election since 1864. There were 2 exceptions, 1960 and 2020, the 2 most contested elections with regard to accusations of fraud. So why is this all so astonishing? Well, again, we've got to put this all in perspective. At this time in the 2020 election, okay, so November 2019, this time out from the 2020 election, Trump was consistently 10 points behind Biden. He was 6 or 7 points behind Hillary. At no point, either in 2016 or in 2020, did Trump ever lead in the polls. According to the RCP aggregate, the Real Clear Politics aggregate, the polling average, Biden had a polling average of +7 the day before the election. That's with all of the polls tightening and so forth. He still had a near double-digit lead over Trump. And even with that, together with all the utterly ridiculous shenanigans that the Democrats pulled in the completely and totally unprecedented sham of an election, in my personal opinion, even with all of that, Biden nevertheless won with barely 40,000 votes. With all of them, pull out the stops, mail in by the gazillions, he barely won by 40,000. 10,000 in Arizona, 10,000 margin in Georgia, 20,000 margin in Wisconsin. All of which were later, by the way, in Wisconsin, they were all thrown out by the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It was invalid. Even the far left site Slate.com recognized that the decision to nullify nearly 200,000 mail-in ballots in Wisconsin basically rendered the 2020 election illegitimate. That was from the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Unfortunately, it was 2 years after the fact, but the point here is that no matter how you look at this, Trump is today, everyone is admitting this now, Trump is today, as we stand, stronger than he has ever been. He is better positioned to be elected president than ever, either in 2016 when he won more electoral votes than any Republican in 30 years, or in 2020 when he won more votes than any incumbent ever won in our nation's history. I mean, you've got to get that. He is stronger today than he was when he won more electoral votes than a Republican in 30 years, and when he won more votes than any incumbent, Democrat or Republican, in our nation's history. He is now in a stronger position today than he was back then in either of those two historic scenarios. That's why the Democrats are panicking. That's why he's facing these indictments. They literally cannot believe that after two impeachments, after J6, after the J6, remember, J6 was supposed to be the single worst horrific crime against our nation since 9/11. After the J6 Kangaroo Committee and all their televised live hearings, with an ABC News executive being the producer of the rollout of that, after 24/7, 99.999% negative news media coverage, after night after night after night of late night clowns mocking him and ridiculing him, after the whole of Hollywood and universities and every single cultural institution stood up against him for the last 7 years, and after 4 indictments, they are absolutely beside themselves on how Trump could possibly be stronger today than he's ever been. They're dumbfounded. They are, as you say across the pond, they are gobsmacked. They are literally stupefied. And they have no idea what to do to stop what is appearing increasingly inevitable. And they're doing everything but looking into their own mirrors, because that's where the answer is for this. The vast majority of voters no longer trust our nation's establishment and establishment institutions as legitimate. And they see Trump as the one guy standing up against him. Now, I know many of you are speculating about Gruesome Newsom getting in the race and how that might change dynamics. But at this point, I mean, all the polls are showing the same thing, that he's doing just as bad, if not worse, than Biden. And this is even before his horrific record in California is going to be brought to the fore for everyone to see. I mean, Trump's campaign message could be as easy as possible. Hey, if you want to turn the United States into San Francisco, if you want to be stepping in human feces everywhere you walk, vote for Gruesome Newsom. If you want peace abroad and prosperity at home, just like we had in my first term, vote for me. I mean, we're witnessing astonishing stuff, gang. Trump is surging. Biden is imploding. And whether the courts gag him or release him, it doesn't matter. Trump's poll numbers only seem to be going up. And if the same historical pattern holds, with the economy only getting worse, we ain't seen nothing yet butter the popcorn, gang. This is going to be epic.